Chapter 6. Searching Through the Forgotten. A wall of heat whacked me in the face when I walked in through the front door of my house. It had been quite cold outside, and whilst I'd been walking home, not even putting my hands deep into my pockets and clenching my fists helped with keeping the rest of me warm. Man, was I grateful to be home again. I wrapped my arms around my body and basked in the comfort of the heat. "Hey, bro!" I heard Wendy call as she came into the living room and faced me. With a somewhat heavy heart, I looked up at her, but what Wendy said next made me wish I hadn't. "Are you okay?" she asked, sporting a furrowed brow. "You look like you've been crying." I breathed in to say, "Go away," but I decided not to. I understood that Wendy could see that I looked miserable and that she was trying to comfort me, but now just wasn't the right time. "No, I'm fine," I sighed. "I just want to be left alone right now." Unexpectedly, Wendy's facial expression instantly turned around. She rolled her eyes and groaned. "Are you still in a mood?" This annoyed the hell out of me. Had Wendy even listened to what I'd literally just said? Before I could snap back, Lemmy, who was sitting on the couch, turned round from the TV. "Give him some space, Wen," he said. "Just leave him be. You know what he's like when he gets like this." "All right, fine," Wendy replied. She looked into my face, and I saw a hint of regret and understanding in her azure-coloured eyes, and I acknowledged my sister's apologetic gaze with a nod. After my lunch, I felt like I needed to have a bit of me time, so I wandered off upstairs to my bedroom. I threw myself down onto my bed and let out a loud sigh, momentarily noticing that I had nearly flattened Buddy, who had been asleep. He woke up with a start and gave a little growl of indignation. "Sorry, Bud," I said softly. I rubbed him on the head. "I'm sorry. It's just, I've been through a lot recently. Why can't I get what I want? I'd say that answering a simple question isn't really that hard." Talking to Buddy always made me feel better, and that was because every time I finished with saying something, he would make a noise, as if he understood what I was saying. After I'd said this, Buddy let out a little whimper. "I know!" I exclaimed. I turned towards Buddy. "It's ridiculous! I have every right to know everything about Pauline. I feel like I can't share this kind of feeling with anyone, because I'll just be told to not worry about it, and I'll be ignored." Buddy whimpered sympathetically, and he clambered over my legs. He snuggled under my arm and gave me a lick. I giggled at the feeling of his paws digging into my side, and I smiled at his cheeky little face. "Thanks for listening, boy," I sighed blithely. "It's so nice to feel like I have someone to talk to here." I lay slumped on my bed with my dog in my arms for a long time, and I relaxed with Buddy's warm, comforting body against me. I felt so secure and protected, but I was so exhausted from all the bad thoughts I'd experienced over the past day that I felt into a light sleep. Scene change. My eyes slowly prised themselves open, and for a split second I didn't feel warm anymore. I glanced downwards and my heart sank like a stone when I realised that Buddy was no longer guarding me. When I uneasily propped myself up on my elbows, I listened to the silence that hung around the house. Usually, whilst minding my own business in my room, I would always overhear noises such as my siblings talking downstairs or the TV. But now I lay there trying to comprehend why there was such a deathly silence. Slowly and quietly, I got up from my bed, walked out into the hallway, and tried to make my footsteps as silent as possible whilst creeping down the stairs. I cautiously peeped into the living room, kitchen, and dining room, but there was nobody there. I even opened the door and scanned the backyard. Nobody was there. I suppose my siblings had gone out and left me home alone. Wait, what if they were going to Rosie's and they were trying to get out of her what I told her? Geez, they knew me only too well. Sighing and groaning at the same time, I walked back upstairs again. I must have had a growth spurt at the top of the stairs or something, because I wasn't looking where I was going, and I tripped over on the last step, and I landed flat on my face. I rolled over and put a hand to my forehead, wincing as I did so. I was sure that I had already developed a bruise, and I decided to go and put some ice on it. However, I was just about to sit up when I noticed what was above my head. The attic. I felt the cogs turning around in my head, and then light bulb. I now knew exactly how I was going to find knowledge about Pauline. The attic! Why didn't I think of that first of all? I opened the door to the airing cupboard and pulled out the stepladder, which was leaning against the wall. Very steadily, I stepped onto the ladder, holding the sides tightly so I didn't easily fall off. Really, I needed someone to hold the sides in order for me to not have an extra job, but what I didn't need was that someone secretly trying to see what I was doing up there. Even so, it was quite a pity that nobody was there to give me a hand, or so I thought. "Larry?" said a voice from behind me. I nearly had a heart attack. "Holy Lemmy! You scared the crap out of me!" I exclaimed, putting my hand to my chest. "Sorry," Lemmy replied. He looked up at me. "What are you doing up there?" "Oh, just going through some old Christmas decorations," I lied. I instantly wished I hadn't said that, because a huge smile spread across Lemmy's face and his eyes twinkled like fairy lights. "Ooh," he said. "Can I come up there with you?" Part of me wanted to simply reply with a point-blank no, but I knew how sensitive Lemmy could be if I snapped at him for no reason at all, and besides, I wasn't mean in that way, so I replied, "I'd love you to, but I'm just afraid about you falling and getting hurt. I don't want that to happen to you, and I really don't want to end up in trouble with Iggy." Lemmy smiled. "Oh, that's perfectly fine," he said. "I didn't actually think about that." All of a sudden, his face lit up. "Maybe I could help you with holding the stepladder." To be honest, I actually had a fear of falling off, and I was potentially in danger of breaking my leg or something. However, what if Lemmy was to look up and see that I was being hypocritical, and then he would pressure me into telling the truth about what I was really doing? It was such a hard decision. What was it going to be? Safety or privacy? No thanks, I'm all right, I said. "Oh, okay," Lemmy replied. "Have fun with the decorations." He smiled a massive smile once again and walked back downstairs. As soon as I was sure that he was gone, I turned around and very slowly I climbed up the stepladder. After a few steps, I reached the hatch of the attic and lifted it out the way. I knew that the light socket was somewhere on the floor to my right, but it was quite difficult to feel around because by now my head was just above the hole and it was pitch black in there as well. Click. Finally, I found the light switch. The attic was completely filled with light, and for a moment I was blinded and I had to let my eyes adjust to everything. When I had recovered, I heaved the rest of my body into the attic and closed up the hatch. Wow, I'd actually forgotten how many things we had in this place. In every direction I looked, there lay magical treasure troves of the past. What I found strange was that Iggy was the one who brought us up, but somehow I still managed to live a blissful and happy childhood, and I always got what I wanted. I crawled along the floor on my hands and knees, being extremely careful not to touch the fiberglass insulator, and I started to scan all the boxes. I got a bit distracted because there were lots of things in front of me that seemed to take me away on a journey into my childhood. I found a box of old tinsel and baubles for an old Christmas tree we had many years ago, and I found myself untangling one of the baubles from the coloured fairy lights. This was a very special decoration I was holding because it was one that I had made myself. It was painted with a mother-of-pearl effect with a white stripe painted round it. As I ran my fingers across the rhinestones dotted all over it, I caught sight of my reflection in the bauble, and I cast my mind back to when I was about 6 years old. I remembered the first time I put it on the Christmas tree, feeling a strong sense of pride that I'd made something awesome. I gazed around at all the other boxes that lay before me, and for a moment it occurred to me that every single thing in this attic told a very special story. My attention was suddenly placed onto a large cardboard box that had the words "Birth Records" written in capital letters on the side in black felt-tip pen. Inside the box were 3 folders, one for Wendy, one for me, and one for Lemmy. I thought for a brief moment. I needed to know the important pieces of information about Pauline, such as her date of birth and her address. Maybe it would be in one of those folders. Then I realized which folder was the most significant. Lemmy's. He was the only one out of us who was born in the UK, and I knew that he wasn't born in a hospital because of a conversation I overheard. Could reading Lemmy's birth certificate lead me to finding out Pauline's address? Cringing because I felt unsure about rifling through Lemmy's private information, I opened the folder cautiously. Luckily, I opened it to the exact page I wanted to read. The information about the baby and mother. Get in! Using every cell in my eyes, I scanned the paper, trying to locate the details. Near the middle of a page, it read something that caught my attention. Mother's date of birth, 17th of June 1986. Mother's place of birth, Edgevale Hospital, Miami, Florida, USA. Child's date of birth, 27th of April 2014. Child's place of birth, Flat 3, Crowscar Court, Quinstone, Dorset, UK. My eyes lit up at the last piece of information I read. Could that still be where Pauline lived? If I were to turn up at that address, would she still be there? Oh God, that was a thought that half made my heart sink. I wasn't sure whether she would still be there or not. After all, 9 years is actually quite a long time to stay in one place. Nevertheless, I was excited to meet Pauline, and so many questions swam around in my head. Would she remember my name? Would she remember who my siblings were? I didn't know, but all I knew was that in order to meet her, I had to sneak out behind my siblings' backs so I wouldn't be seen. My heart started beating at an increasingly quicker pace upon thinking about this cunning plan, and I darted into my room to pack my bag.